In new Gemma 4 paper, they show how to train LLMs with better efficiency, more capabilities, more knowledge, and more architecture improvements. So there is advanced reasoning, math capabilities, and multimodal vision, and optimized training and alignment. First, let's look at this speculative decoding. So figure 1 shows autoregressive multi-token prediction. We learn all of this in the school below the video. So this is the main transformer here, and these are two smaller transformers that also generate tokens. So the main transformer is going to pass its KV cache and its last layer activations to these two transformers, and each of these layers is going to do cross attention with the KV cache of the main transformer to generate the next token. So this way you can use smaller transformer, smaller language model to try to predict the next 1, 2, 3 tokens, and then most of those will be accepted, will be correct, so you can just speed up the generation this way. And then the big main transformer is gonna accept or reject these quickly generated tokens, and most of them will be accepted because this is smart enough. Only some of them will not be accepted. So there are many advantages to this. Also, I see DeepSeek doing the same thing or similar, so it's interesting to compare these two. I didn't yet compare these two. Maybe we'll see comparisons on X or YouTube. So it also has vision capabilities. So original image will get broken down into these squares, and the model is going to have maximum amount of tokens it can use for a single image. For example, 70, 140, 280, whatever the amount of tokens to represent that image in that number of tokens. This is how they format, for example, thinking toggle, function declaration, function call. You can check the other ones here as well. So you see you have in the model input there will be beginning of sequence token, and then it's system's turn, it's thinking, and inside of thinking it may use tools and close off the turn, so now it's user's turn. Here we can see the parameters. So if you have, for example, 2 billion parameters, there is audio encoder, vision encoder, and INSAMS is the actual transformer core, drafter, the next token prediction one, and embedding tables for the vocabulary. Here is the hardware used by Google to train these. So they're using tensor processing units. Most of them are V6E. So you see 4,000 chips up to 12,000 chips or 10,000 chips. So they are splitting data across, let's say, 16 chips and sequence, because entire sequence context window cannot fit onto one chip's memory, so they split that as well. And duplicating the model across different chip clusters, so it's like increasing the batch size. This is their arena scores. So you can see that a 31 billion model is competitive with these hundreds of billions of parameters model, almost even a trillion parameter model. So this is actually very good because we have small models that can run locally. So for long context efficiency, which is long context is where we are going to be expanding context window. They're going to use sliding window attention and global attention. So sliding window attention is just keeping the last fixed amount of previous tokens. Just look at all of them, because usually when you do some task, the latest tokens, the latest words are more important than the distant previous tokens. And you can keep a ratio. For example, 1/5 of the entire attention is your local, so you look at 1/5 sliding window, 5:1 ratio. And so usually in this case they would look at both the local and the global, but global is huge. So you want some optimizations that make it cheaper to compute, even though you're gonna lose a bit of information. So that's why you have the local sliding window. This keeps all of the information of the most important nearby tokens. So now you can do optimizations on the long context without being afraid that it will hit your performance too much. One optimization is to use exact same tensors for keys and values, so to make them same. This makes it so you don't need to actually compute both. But it's maybe a bit disadvantageous, but in this case it's worth it. This is interesting because KV cache requires a lot of GPU memory. This is one of the main issues with using these models, KV cache. Now you cut it in half. So when serving these models later in the inference, it's gonna require 2 times less memory compared to in the cache, KV cache. So inference is more important than training, I think, because you will be inferencing the model a lot more, spending a lot more compute and money on inference than on training. And they also use partial rope instead of rope for the global context. So rope is a technique that's gonna tell the model the order of tokens, where each token is. So it knows this is the first, second, third, fourth token. It's positional encoding. So in standard rope, there is a massive amount of computations where each pair of numbers in each tensor needs to go through this sine, cosine calculations, math formula. There is a massive amount of rotations, math, sine, cosine calculations. So when the context length is very large, like 100,000, then the memory, KV cache memory footprints can explode and require more memory than you have. And so the trick is you don't actually need to apply rope to every dimension, every number in the vector. You can just apply to 1/4 of the numbers, so every fourth number. And it's still enough for the transformer to understand the position of this vector, this token in the sequence, even if you just apply it to 1/4 of its numbers, its elements. And this efficiency improvement creates a domino effect where it improves everything else. So these features that are not rotated, model can compress, share, handle those tensors much more efficiently. Together with reusing keys as values, this slashes the global KV cache memory footprint by 37.5%. And when you have less memory, it removes currently the biggest bottleneck, biggest problem. The biggest problem is moving memory around the chips. It's not computation. Most of the time, it's not computation. Most of the time, it's moving things, moving the memory. So compute units need to wait for them, like memory to move stuff to them. But here you have less memory to move, so this removes. So this kinda makes the compute unit not wait or wait less. So it improves the computation speed, not just the memory requirement and memory bandwidth. So they use both RMS norm and QK norm. Did I use this myself? I think I did. I think this is the new standard using RMS norm and QK norm. And you can also simulate quantization during training. So quantization is just making the model weights, shrinking the memory and cutting off a bit of information. So cutting off a bit of weights, like for each number, store it into smaller memory unit. It's gonna hit the performance a little bit, but the gain in memory, generation speed, and all this usage is gonna be a lot bigger than the performance hit. So the idea here is that you can simulate this even during training and teach the model, teach the neural network to improve the performance while having this using less memory to store weights. And that's a quick overview. Join the school to learn AI research, and see you in the next video.